Second time's a charm. Apparently, I'm having to record these 2 times each. Gotta love internet issues, so I guess I will go through this again. So I'm not going to cover this question on here because there is a worksheet that I put together that has it on there, and you can answer it. The worksheet will be in place of class this week. So it is a requirement. Go in and do it. I will give you extra credit for it. It's in a different platform, which I think you guys will like better than ClassKick. And I will give you 25 points for doing it. So make sure you go in and do it. That is not really a suggestion. This week we're covering Unit 12, so that does have 5 different things on there, 4 different things. Make sure you go in and cover all of those. It's really important that you stay up to date with assignments. If you are a senior and you are failing, I did send you an email with all of your missing assignments on there. Some of you, the biggest problem is you just haven't done the FRQs. You're doing all of the work in the course. You're just not doing the FRQs. And those are not difficult, guys. Just go in there and answer the questions, and you should be golden. I mean, it's not that bad. I give you the paper. All you have to do is fill it out. On the worksheet, you do have the key terms. I have those set up as a crossword puzzle. Not a crossword, but a word search. So that's fun. You can see some of the important guys in there, as well as the founders. This week, our lesson is on personality and the self. So make sure that, you're focusing on that and that we are looking specifically at personality. I really like this cartoon. I thought it was cute. Excuse me. I thought it was cute. It really kind of talks about what we're going to talk about today. So personality is defined as unique and relatively consistent pattern of thought, feeling, and actions. I left a letter off there, apparently. So basically, it's who you are and who you are going to be. So who you show the world you are through your actions, through the way you react to things, all of that feeds into your personality. Our big guy this week is Sigmund Freud. He is very, very important when we're talking about personality and self. He is the most important thing that you need to look at. Basically, he believed in childhood experiences determined your adult personality. Personal disturbances are due to unmet needs, specific preservation, or aggression and destruction. He believed that the unconscious mental processes determined your adult behavior and that conflict caused most human behavior. Now, he did have a couple of specific ideas about that. One, you have the id, the ego, and the superego. He believed that the mind was kind of split this way with your personality. The id was the pleasure-seeking or instinctual part of your personality. The one that's saying, I want it now. Give it to me right now. That's the one, that's your id. Then you have your ego. That's kind of the reality-seeking part of the personality. The need to do a bit of planning, kind of think things out. We're not going to get it right this second. We're not going to go spend our entire check in 5 minutes. We need to plan it out, take care of everything. So he's kind of the realistic part of your personality, the one that's going to be like, hey, chill, just take a minute, that kind of thing. Then we have the super ego, and he is kind of like your conscience. He's the element of your personality that's like your little Jiminy Cricket sitting on your shoulder saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe that's not a good idea. That's not the right way to do this. You shouldn't go beat that kid up because you want his candy, that kind of thing. So thanks to him, we have these 3 parts of the personality. He also believed that the personality was kind of this iceberg structure. He believed that generally we are only consciously aware of a very small percentage of what's actually going on in our mind. I'm sorry, I have a piece of hair on my mouth that's driving me crazy. That some information is located in your preconscious mind and it can become conscious at any time, or there's some things in your mind that affect your behavior without you realizing it. Think about it like this. When I was a kid, I was pushed down a flight of stairs by a cousin. Now, it wasn't a huge flight. It was a carpeted flight. And yeah, I really didn't get hurt. But now, every time I go down a flight of stairs, I am gripping the side rail like my life depends on it, because I'm deathly scared of falling downstairs. So that's something that I don't consciously think about every time I walk down the stairs. But in my mind, I remember that happening, and I unconsciously prepare myself just in case. And that's kind of the same thing. As a kid, you're told the stove is hot. Eventually, at some point in your life, you'll probably get burned. And then from that point on, you will remember hot stove burn. That's just something that's going to unconsciously be in your mind. Okay. There's also some people that are what we call neo-Freudians. They believe that some of Freud's ideas were antiquated, and that he really needed to be modernized, brought into this century. Alfred Adler is one. He believed that people were driven by the need for superiority. We have Carl Jung. He was a Freudian disciple, so to speak, and he ended up breaking from Freud. He believed in the collective unconscious. And then we have Karen Horney. She was the first female psychologist or psychiatrist. Those are very similar terms. And she believed that personality disturbances are caused by anxiety. Talking specifically about like family relationships. But she was pretty important. We also have the humanistic personality theories. So Carl Rogers is pretty big in this. He believed that unconditional positive regard, he believed that people's self-concept are distorted by outside influences. And he believed that a healthy personality is when your self-concept is consistent with your ideal self. Okay. So that's Rogers. Then we have Maslow. Maslow is also very important. He suggested that personality is determined by a hierarchy of needs, and his basic needs must be met before higher needs. So the ultimate goal is self-actualization. Here's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the bottom are physical needs that you cannot live without, like air, food, water, and sleep. That includes sex on the bottom, but I'm not really sure that's something that you would, die without. But he includes that in his psychological needs. Next step is safety and security. So in order to get closer to self-actualization, you have to have safety and security. Love and belonging are just above that. Then you have esteem and self-esteem. So how you see yourself is above love and belonging. And then at the very top is self-actualization. And that includes basically your ideal of when you see yourself as perfect, okay? When you see yourself as complete, simplicity, goddess, uniqueness, autonomy, all those things, whatever it is in your mind that makes you complete. That's where self-actualization is happening. We also have some learning theories. Some of those learning theories are from Skinner. He's a behaviorist, and he believed that personality and behavior are determined by past experiences and reinforced by punishment. And of course, we've talked about Skinner's box, how he uses animals with, teaching them to do things by punishing them if they get it wrong. That's one way that he shows that this is working theory. We also have social cognitive theories. We have Albert Bandura, who's one of the big guys in this. He believes in reciprocal determinism. It's a lot of letters in there. Sorry, guys. Self-efficacy. He believes that your ability to perform tasks. We talked about several of these, specifically when we were talking about our FRQ2. Some of FRQ1 too as well when we were talking about self-efficacy. But just be aware that these people are talking about how you see yourself. We also have the Big Five theory. This is looking at your personality and judging it between low and high. So this goes from openness at the top, that's number 1, to consciousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. I have a very neurotic dog over here. He doesn't like storms, and he needs lots of attention during it. So I'm sorry if he's over here bugging me. So let's start at the top, openness. The low scores for openness are going to be like down to earth, controversial, uncreative, and then your high scores are going to be imaginative, original, curious, those different types of personality quirks. Then we have consciousness. So on the low side, you're going to be negative, negligent, you're going to be lazy and late and disorganized. And then on the high side of that, you're going to be hardworking and well organized and punctual. Extroversion, you are a loner, you're passive, you're reserved and quiet. And then the high score on that is going to be talkative, a joiner, affectionate. For agreeableness, the low side is going to be ruthlessness and irritable, and the high side is going to be trusting and soft-hearted, good-natured. And then for neurotics, you are either calm and even-tempered, or you're worried and temperamental. Now, most people are not going to be all high or all low. I know, just looking at that and thinking of myself, I would probably score low on openness and high on conscientious and extrovert and agreeableness. And then neuroticism, I would probably, I don't know, maybe in the middle on that one. But different people score differently. You're not going to be all one or all of the other. You're going to be kind of in between. And that's normal. For Bandura, this is his reciprocal determinism. I'll get it out in a minute. Sorry. All those letters just don't work in my mouth, apparently. And these kind of go back and forth. So you have environment leading to person, and then person leading to behavior, and behavior to environment. You also have environment to behavior, behavior to person, and person to environment. So this goes both ways in a circle, both counter and regular. So just look at that, how the different areas play into each other to form your personality. All right, so traits. When we're talking about personality traits, we have 2 guys for this. We have Raymond Cattell, who believed in collapsed data forming a large number of personality measures or factor analysis to identify 16 specific traits and a range for each of them. Now, your book does show this in there, and it's interesting to look at how he kind of breaks those up. Then you have Gordon Allport, and he set out to compose a list of critical personality traits. He ended up with over 4,500 words. Hello. I don't know if that's going to help you narrow your personality down, but 4,500 words is a lot of words to cover talking about personality. But he did have another way of looking at it, which was much broader. Now, when we're talking about personality traits, some of these can also be linked to psychological disorders. When we're looking at these traits, you look at how close they are to each other. For example, autism is kind of closer to neuroticism, and it's farther away from agreeableness. So it's going to be opposite of agreeableness, but it's going to be probably closer to neuroticism. When we're talking about ADHD, that is closer to extroversion rather than to openness. So looking at those, you can compare those to the big 5 and see how those various behaviors, which they kind of lead to. And as you can see, most of these are between openness and neuroticism for the vast majority of them, but just understand that there is that correlation. Also, we have the the 4 views of the personality. So this is looking at trait theories, psychoanalytical theories, behaviorist, and humanist theories. And you can kind of see how these all line up and how they are different in different areas. If you want to pause the recording, you can absolutely do that and look at the differences here and the, how these all line up. Now, the next one is looking at an actual personality inventory. This is the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, or the MMPI. It compares a person's responses along several dimensions to people that were diagnosed with psychological conditions. Any scores above 65 are cause for concerns. In this specific case here, the one that is above 65 is in section 4. Which is actually for the psychopathic deviant scale. The scale measures conflict, struggle, anger, and respect for society's rules. So this person might be diagnosed with an antisocial personality disorder, something along those lines. Next, we have the Inkblot test. These are still used today, even though they are not really able to be validated, because people see different things when they look at it, and that's based on your history and what has come in your life, plays into what you're going to see when you look at the picture. Now, it does give some help to be able to get insight into maybe what your life has been like. When I look at this, I tend to see a bat, maybe some dog heads. The more I look at it, the less I see. It's actually kind of funny, but if I just kind of glance at it, I see maybe a bat, and that's just me. Maybe some wolf heads or something in there. I don't know. But this is still widely used to analyze psychiatric kind of insight to see what's going on in your head. All right, so self-schema improves recall. Thinking of items in relation to yourself helps you be able to recall them better than having them relate to something else. And the only reason this is on here is just because your book makes a point of it, so I just went on and included it. But self-referencing an item, a word, a thing helps you recall it. All right. I'm not sure if you can watch this while you're watching the recording, but I do have 2 videos in here. You cannot see them now, but I will have them on the worksheet, and I do want you to watch them because I want you to look at the 2 different things. The one on the top really gets to me every time I watch it, because it really, which door would you walk through kind of thing. So basically it's talking about self-esteem, and Dove, a beauty product company that does deodorant and shampoos and all those kinds of things, they report that only 4% of women worldwide consider themselves beautiful. To combat this influence in upward social comparison in girls and women against impossible beauty standards, Dove has committed to using diverse, natural-looking models in their advertisements, and they have actually got a positive self-esteem campaign. So they're really the first and only company that is really trying to make the world better by making people realize the negative effect that social media has. And they've got a commercial that I did not include on here that shows a young girl, gosh, she can't be more than 14 at the most. And the very first picture shows after she has added makeup, done her hair, used, gone in and removed blemishes and made her nose bigger and all these different things to change the image, when she was a beautiful girl to start with. And she looked her age, but by the time she's added everything on and done everything, she looks like a totally different person. And I think it's really interesting to see, how people play towards that nowadays, with that being a central part of society. So if you want to see that, just look up Dove commercials on YouTube, and it will pull it up. It's an amazing video. It's not super long. These 2 videos will be included in the PowerPoint at the end. All right, so a look at bullies and self-esteem. It's interesting because your book actually talks about the fact that, contrary to a lot of stereotypes, bullies typically do not suffer from low self-esteem. They are generally the rock stars of school. They are the ones that everybody looks up to, and they're kind of the center of the popular crowd. So they generally don't have anxiety. They don't have loneliness. They don't have depression because they have all this reinforcing behavior. So that's just something to think about as well. Your book also talks about self-regulation and how without the correct self-regulation, you can have a lot of problems, including domestic abuse, drug abuse, binge eating, in addition to some psychological disorders like schizophrenia, ADHD, and OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. Those are some of the issues with self-regulation. Now, this last one just looks at culture and self and how different cultures look at different parts of society and what is most important to them. Now, obviously on here, thrift and perseverance is the highest one, with China scoring very high and the U.S. scoring low. Now, on here, the U.S. scores high on IDV, which is individuals or groups, not the state. So basically taking care of yourself. And that's where China scores really low. So just take a look at this, kind of give you an idea of how people around the world look at themselves. All right, so this is my information. Always, you can get a hold of me anytime you need to. If you have questions, just call me. You can send me a message. You can, I don't have office hours this week because of STAR testing. I do have open office hours during my regular class time this week. So again, this week is a little weird, but if you need to get a hold of me, I'm always available. All right, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this, and I will send this out with a link to the Wiser, where you can go and work on that stuff for extra credit. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.